Hello and welcome to The Telescope. Every week we'll bring you a fresh insight from the biggest car market in the world. I'm slightly apprehensive about today's review because myself, I'm just not an off-road kind of guy, but today's car is a total beast, a hardcore off-roader. It has low-range four-wheel drive. It's on a ladder frame chassis. It has diff locks on the front and rear axle. It has a total output of 660 horsepower from two electric motors on the front and rear axle. It has a longitudinally mounted 1.5-litre petrol engine that has 194 horsepower. It can directly drive the wheel. It also has a 31.6 kilowatt-hour battery pack, giving it a pure battery electric range about 125 kilometers, but about 90 kilometers in real life. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? It's called the Leopard 5. That's not its official English name. I've asked BYD's PR on this, and they say this brand and this car's official English name is still very much a work in progress. Oh, did I mention BYD? Yes, the Leopard brand is an off-road focused sub-brand of the BYD group. This is what happens when you repurpose all of the EV powertrain technologies into a hardcore off-roader. But as I said, I'm just not an off-road guy. I used to cover long-distance cross-country rally. I need to drive to the finishing point of the special stages to interview drivers.
Stefan, was anything wrong today?
It was not an easy stage on the dunes. It was really easy to stuck on the sand.
Those finishing points could be 50 kilometers away from the nearest paved road. But I'm just not that into off-road driving, and today's review won't feature any off-road content. So treat this as a display of how much of a difference EV technology could bring to the daily usability of a hardcore off-roader like this. In one word, massive. Like now I'm just low speed crawling out of my compound. It's a pure electric car. It can do this up to moderate and even high speed actually, because this car is predominantly electric drive. My Chinese colleagues are doing a triple test between this, a Land Rover Defender 90 and a Mercedes G-Wagon. The Defender 90 is double the price of this in China, okay? And the G-Wagon is at least 6 times the price of this. But in powertrain performance, I'm being very specific here, just powertrain performance, this smokes the Defender and the G-Wagon by miles. The Land Rover Defender we have is a 90 P300, so it's a 4-cylinder, but even the Defender V8 would be about 0.4 of a second slower than this to 100 kilometers acceleration. The G-Wagon is a full second off compared to this. I'm not saying outright power and acceleration is the most important aspect of an off-roader, but I'm just telling you this is a dream powertrain. Just think about what electric motors can do to improve your off-road driving. The linearity, the smoothness, the drivability, the instantaneous torque delivery in the dunes, in the rocks. In terms of on-road driving, there is a bit of a compromise because this car is on a ladder frame chassis and it shows on the road. It's a very softly sprung car, so you sort of feel like you are floating on the road. But because this car is a very tall and tough-looking off-roader, I kind of expect that. And depending on your previous experience, if you've driven a lot of ladder frame hardcore off-roaders, then you would think this is a surprisingly easy car to drive on-road. But if you're coming from the road-biased SUV camp, then you will think this is not as direct and as pleasant to drive as, let's say, a Land Rover Defender, which is no longer a ladder frame chassis. I'm going to slightly exaggerate the body motion of this car. If I'm doing a lane change now, it will feel like the car is sort of doing a little bit of this and a little bit of this when I'm starting and finishing the lane change. The body is kind of on a floating platform on top of the ladder frame. It's not horrendous, but just bear in mind, this is a ladder-on-frame chassis off-roader. So most of the time, this car behaves like a pure battery electric vehicle. Only in high-speed cruise and high-speed acceleration that you can feel the assistance coming from the petrol engine. And of course, in long-distance driving and in a really remote areas, by having the petrol engine and the fuel tank, you have that peace of mind. The other amazing aspect of this powertrain compared to other petrol-powered off-roader is the energy consumption. In terms of pure EV consumption, this is about 25 to 26 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer if you just use the electricity in the city, okay? I know that's hardly Tesla level energy consumption, but this is a very boxy 2.8 ton off-road biased SUV. But if you only use fuel like I am now, the battery is only at 23% state of charge. So it's just a petrol engine deciding when it's going to drive the wheel directly, when it's going to put power into the battery, and when it's going to only draw power from the battery alone. If you drive the car like this, it's about 7.5 liters per 100 kilometer in the city. That's about 32 mpg US and about 37 mpg UK in the city. Okay, to put you into context, the Defender 90 4-cylinder only has half the power of this, and that's doing 23 mpg in the city. The 4-litre V8 twin-turbo G-Wagon, which still is an inferior powertrain in my opinion to this, is 16 mpg in the city. Okay? Incredible performance and incredible efficiency for the level of performance it provides. It's literally half the amount of fuel consumption compared to the G-Wagon, and it's only 1/6 of the price in China. I mean, what more could you ask? You've seen the exterior design. It's just a very generic, tough-looking, boxy off-roader. The interior, however, is a modern EV with lots of physical, big, chunky buttons. You've got big grab handles on each side of the door. You have all of the big screens. You have a lot of physical controls. Here is the front diff lock, the rear diff lock, the air conditioning control, the volume knob, pure battery electric mode, hybrid mode, engine start and stop, drive mode selection, and low range gearbox. You also have a fridge in here, so on your long distance adventure into the wilderness, you can have your iced Coke or your hot coffee. You have a full-size spare tire, and the boot opens sideways. You have hooks, mounting points, home socket, and very good ambient lighting. I need to mention this car's reverse charging capability. Because it has a relatively big battery and a petrol engine, this overall total output can have 6 kilowatts of electricity. You have all the benefits of a battery electric vehicle, but of course that peace of mind from the petrol engine in the very remote areas. Now, I'm not going to buy this car, but that's not because it's not a good car. I think it's a total beast, but because I'm just not that into off-road driving. But if you're like my uncle who are into off-road driving, I will tell him to buy this car, because at half the price of the Land Rover Defender and 1/6 of the price of the Mercedes G-Wagon, it's not a bargain, it's a total steal. That is all from the Telescope today. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming to you very soon.